Welcome back. This is week 64 of the preparation. And if you don't know what the preparation is, then skip to the end of the video and I'll talk about it. I'll explain exactly what it is. But this week was a much better week than the past couple weeks, I think, because a lot more got done. And it always goes that way. It's always very slow, and then you have a good week where you feel like there was actual progress made, but all the other weeks before that felt pointless were just you're building momentum to get to that week where you feel like it was a success, somewhat at least. But this week I finally started building the chicken tractor. Just started building the frame of it. And the chicken tractor is this thing that you can put up to 75 chickens in. We made it a little smaller, so maybe it'll be 55 to 60 instead. But you put the chickens in the tractor, you put them on the pasture behind the cows. And what it's meant to do is have the chickens eat off the pasture, fertilize the pasture, and eat the larvae off the cow manure. And that also does help with preventing parasites. So I have done a fair amount with building that, but a lot more needs to be done just to get some more materials, some more wood to finish out the frame. And then I need corrugated metal sheets to put on the top and some of the sides. And then I need chicken wire to put on the remaining sides. So, but at least it started. We started with it this week. So that's a good positive thing right there. And going along with chickens, I contacted another regenerative farmer who, I don't know how far she lives away from us, but I think she's in northern Uruguay, I believe. But she sells her own meat chickens, which is the reason why I'm building the chicken tractor, so we can sell meat chickens. And I contacted her because I wanted to ask her lots of questions, mainly about the legality of it, because you can't just legally butcher your own chickens and sell them to other people. You can butcher your own animals and eat them yourself, but as soon as you sell them to other people or give them to other people for free even, it becomes a problem. So I asked her about the legality of things, and she said that as a small operator, you can get a certification from the Department of Agriculture to butcher and sell 400 chickens a year, which is a fair amount. It's going to take 50 days to get a full-grown chicken, which is more than I anticipated, but it's all right. Or is it more? No, not really. No. But 50 days, 55 to 60 chickens per chicken tractor. That's not bad. Of course, we're just starting off with the one chicken tractor as a test to see how it goes, and then we might build more in the future. But I asked her about that. I asked her about the price of chicks, about chicken feed. And she gave me a contact for a guy who sells chicks for apparently 60 pesos per chick, which is $1, like $1.25, I think, which is a pretty good price. So that's good, and that's more progress made because it's important information that I need to know in order to be able to sell the meat chickens properly and buy from the right places, buy the chicks from the right places, buy the feed from the right places, buy the right feed, all those things. So that was another good thing this week. And then besides that, there was a fair amount of maintenance, like there always is, which is just mowing, weeding, and pruning in the garden. So that was the more farm work. Other than that, for activities, I do I've done 30 minutes of chess 5 out of 7 days, and Spanish practice 5 out of 7 days as well. Maybe it was 6 out of 7 days. I can't remember exactly. And I always do that. I always try to aim for 7 out of 7 days, but this week was a little busy, so didn't quite get there. And I was very tired for some reason. Like even working out, or not for some reason. I slept very poorly. That's why I was tired. So even trying to work out, I only worked out 4 times this week, which I usually like to work out at least 6 times. So that was not all that great. But I did that, and then we have some cliffs on our property that I went and rappelled off of. I think they're about 60 to 70 feet high, and they drop down straight into thick brush with a lot of thorns, which kind of sucks. But it was fun. It was very fun. And it's a good skill to have. It's a skill that I acquired from going to a rope rescue course. It's called a REMS course, a Rapid Extrication Module Support course. I did that in the Black Hills of South Dakota back in May, I believe. And it was very fun. Unfortunately, I had a fever one of the days, so I missed out on one of the days there. But they taught us how to build rope systems, how to rappel. I mean, rappelling was the basic part of it. The more interesting, more difficult part of it was building raising and lowering systems where you can, well, first off, build an anchor, whether that be starting off from a tree or building a dead man's anchor by digging a hole, building an anchor around a rock, and then burying that rock, or anything like that, really. And then using that anchor and attaching the line, the rope, to something at the bottom or the top, and then raising or lowering it up or down. Learning how to do all that, which there's some basic systems which are easy to remember, but there's also some much more complicated and advanced systems. But to me, the most fun part is rappelling, by far. But the raising and lowering is very important, because if you get in a situation where you need to use those skills to raise or lower someone off of a steep piece of land, that's because they're hurt, then it's very, very useful. But rappelling is the most fun by far. So I did that, and when I was coming down the cliffs, about a quarter of the way down, I looked over and I heard buzzing, and I saw a swarm of bees. And at that second, 2 things happened. I felt a bee behind my ear, land behind my ear. And then I remembered that someone not too far from here was stung so many times that they died. So as soon as I thought about that, I put some slack in the line and I glided all the way down, because I did not want to stick around to find out if I would be the next person for that to happen to. So that was another fun thing. And the use of any skill is always so fun. Like when it just becomes when it's not something new, brand new. Like, of course, anytime you learn something fun, when it's brand new, when it's fresh, it's exciting. But it's fun when it becomes a thing that you just know how to do. It doesn't have that same excitement, but you have the skill ingrained within you that it's just like it's not a problem. It's easy. And that's something I noticed today I just got off my horse just a few minutes ago. And I remember a time where I didn't know how to saddle the horse at all. But now I just do it without thinking. It's just one of those things that becomes second nature, and it's fun when it becomes second nature. So that was another thing this week. I also uploaded a video to YouTube called Fear, and I recommend you check it out, because it's one of those things that I think people need to hear. Since fear is such a big part of our lives, whether we know it or not, it causes lots of problems and stops us from doing the things that we actually need to do. One of those things being having a positive mindset, which sounds silly and cliche, but it's very true. Like, as soon as you really feel like man, I feel good, and I'm not going to let these things affect me. As soon as you feel like that, you'll notice that your life goes better overall. Like, the things that you want to happen will happen. So that's why I recommend you check that video out. What else? Let's see. I did quite a bit of reading, and reading lots of books and articles. So if you want to check out the books that I read this week and the articles I read, which I think the books are more important, but I'd recommend you go to my Substack page, which will be in the description, and you'll be able to see the books I read, but you'll also be able to see what I wrote about what I did this week, if you'd prefer to read about it instead of just listening to me talk about it. Because I know that I am probably a better writer sometimes than I am a speaker. So you can always go there to check it out. So let's see, was there anything else? Yeah, there was one more thing. I got on a call with a good friend and excellent chess player, and we analyzed a few of my games together, and he showed me where some of my weak points are and how I can improve, specifically with using my knights. He said I was definitely not playing well with my knights, not utilizing them properly, not taking full advantage of them. So that was good, because he definitely knows what he's doing. He's been playing for quite a long time, and he's very, very good at it. So that was the week. I went through it pretty fast this time, even though there was much more that happened and much more productivity. But yeah, hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Over the past year, I've been part of a program called The Preparation. I've been the beta tester, the guinea pig for it. And it's all about putting aside college, the military, and going straight to a dead-end job. Putting all that aside, not going into debt, and trying to gain as many skills as possible while making money, while having new experiences, while meeting lots of people. And within that time, I've done so much more than the average person, but all of that is because I, as Carl Jung would say, looked within instead of looking outside of me for what other people define as success. I mean, I worked 2 menial jobs. I went to EMT school. I became an EMT. I went to a rope rescue course in South Dakota. I learned how to pack mules and horses into the backcountry in Colorado. I started working on the ranch here, and I learned how to drive tractors, put on implements, shoe horses, treat and inspect cattle, fix fences. I started playing chess and went from 300 ELO, which is a very crappy rating, to now over 1,000, which isn't fantastic, but it's all right. It's much better, at least. My Spanish has improved significantly just from hours upon hours of practice. I've wrote tens of thousands of words for various personal articles. The list just goes on. And then this past summer, I worked as an EMT on wildland fires for a total of 41 days. On one fire in Eastern Oregon for 26 days of night shift, and then another fire in Western Oregon for 15 days. And that's just a small bit of the more notable things I've done within the past year.